Good. That's going. Right. Oh, okay, good. We'll just loosen up a little bit, just starting with the legs and just raising the toes, sinking the weight of the body down. Just loosen the arms a little bit and the hands. Just checking the lower body, checking everything out. Great, a little bit of rotation. Nice, and so taking that spine into a wave. Center in the body, just working the head a little bit, just work it any direction. Nice and controlled. Don't feel anything painful. Just loosen it out. Just looking to mobilize from the chin, front and back. Rolling the neck. You can do it both ways as well, kind of tucking in, rolling out, rolling down. Just taking a little bit of the shoulders, just raising them up. Make fists, make it a little bit tighter. And dropping the arms down, spread the shoulders. Widening them out. One more time, coming up. Shoulders to the ears and drop it down, opening out to the side. Into the front, curling forwards, following the chest a little bit, and opening out to the back. Looking a little bit higher with the arms. And a little bit higher again at the back. One more, a little bit higher, coming all the way up, under the arms at the ears. Following out as much as possible in the chest. A bit like a diving position. Get the arms pointing out. And then last one, coming up a little bit higher out to the back. Looking in the middle. Extend the arms at the side, rolling the shoulders. Nice big rotations. One way, rolling the other way. The elbows a little bit. Wind them both the same way, or you can give them the opposite. Pressing out the hands, open and close them. Making tight fists and mouth the top. And then just rolling the wrist, opening them out at the top of the rotation. Looking both directions. Shaking that. So, up and down. Pay attention to the hips. That's big rotations. Yep. Good. Working both directions. Great. Bringing the legs a little bit wider. Side to side. Think of the weight sinking down the back hip. Great. Okay, bringing the knees a little bit together, a little bit closer, rounding, rolling the knees out. And changing direction. Inside to outside. Taking to the feet. Yeah, just work the inside and the outside edges of the feet. With them closing them in, opening them out. Right, and then raising just the big toe off the ground, pressing the other 4 toes into the ground. Right, pressing the big toe, raising the other up to the ground. Trying to keep the rest of the foot on the ground as much as possible. Okay, and then just pressing one leg into the ground. If you need to use a wall or a support, just swinging the leg into the back. Just think about loosening the hip out, not too strenuous. Great, and then sinking into the other side. Nice and loose. Good. Great, going back to the side, just rolling the hip out. As if you're kind of passing, like stepping over a fence or a low kind of step, high step. Coming over it, rolling the hip back. Coming out to the back. So, good. Great, and then to the other side. Just shaking the legs out. Taking out the arms to the top. Shake them down, just shaking out the whole body. Out through the fingertips. Connecting the hips to the hands. Great. Okay, perfect. We just do a little bit of foundation work, just 2 poses, and we're going to kind of increase the range of motion in them. So first, just start kind of shoulder width apart. It's a nice narrow finder exercise. So the first thing, just get the breath. So just use these kind of measuring sticks. You want the thumb on the rib cage, right at the bone, the last rib, and then the little finger on the just on the top of the pelvis. And just think about nice deep breath in. Think about expanding the ribs, especially towards the back. And as you breathe out, think about drawing the belly button towards the spine. So kind of keeping that length through the spine. About 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Do it. Good. That's it. Great. That's it. Yep. Nice. And try and fill the area where the hands are. Think of this kind of expanding up. So that distance that you start in should hopefully start to kind of increase the length in the spine. So this is really about decompressing the spine. That's it. Great. Nice, nice, nice. Good. And then from here, just going to slightly bend the knees, drop the hips back a little bit, open out the hands to the back. Yeah, and just play this, the first few, just get into that motion with the shoulders, kind of rolling back, opening out. You don't want, in this case, although you want the chest, think about, in this case, the chest lengthening, pulling up, without so much kind of pushing out in this kind of hyperextension. So think about drawing up with the spine. And again, use that same kind of breath as you breathe in. Think about creating space up through the body, including the chin, the neck, right to the top of the skull in the movement. Great. Great, and the next breath out, you want to scoop the arms up from underneath, hinge the hips back a little bit more, bend the knees a little bit more. In this case, you can either have the fingers together or you can separate them. But you're going to reach right up. And again, in this case, try and avoid, in this case, the body will want to kind of twist pull the chest out. Keep that length through the spine, but keep the length in the chest without, again, going into hyperextension. Great. A few deep breaths here. Okay, perfect. And then just think about reaching a couple of centimeters up, a little bit more, a little bit higher than you can go. Hinge the hips back a little bit more. Great, and then on this breath out, you're going to go all the way to the ground. Bring the hands flat to the ground. And just play here with lengthening through the legs. Pushing down on the heels and lengthening all the way up through the hips. Great. We're just going to walk the hands forward a little bit, a few steps, not too far. Great. And all I want to play with here is going into the inside of the foot with the ankle, holding it a little bit, and then go to the outside of the foot. And you just want to feel how that little change, subtle change in the ankle, just affects the stretch through the back of the legs. Just go between one side to the other. So it's just literally the ankle making that rotation. That. Great. And then you're going to bend the knees, draw the hands up onto the shin, straighten up through the spine. Yeah, and then draw back up to the top, nice and long. Standing up straight and just shake it out a little bit. That. Great. Okay, perfect. And we're going to go into a lunge. So the first one, just nice and short, so not too wide with the feet. You want the back foot should be kind of comfortable. You should be able to sit back on the heel. Okay. And the first one, just here, just lengthening through the back. Again. And lifting the chest, drawing the chin back, lifting the base of the skull off the spine. Okay, great. And then from here, just hinging the hips forward, drawing the body into the hinge. So I'm going to start to transfer most of the weight onto the front leg. Draw it right into that front leg. Great. Coming back to a neutral position. I'm just going to go into a light side bend, so very, very slight. Just going to start to bend, side bend away from the back leg. Very, very gentle, not too far. Good. Just come back. Okay, now just check the hips. You want them to be really square on, the back leg as well. So nice and square on. You're going to raise up to the top. Yeah, and if you want with this one, you can go into this like a diamond shape and you can pull the palms up to the top. So you want to now start to go into extension a little bit to the back. Once you've got that, gently away from the back leg, a little bit into a side bend. Perfect, good. Nice deep breath as you do it. Again, think in this case a little bit about transferring the weight from the back heel much more into the front foot. Take it a little bit more into a spiral of the body. Great, coming back, lengthening, and then just dropping the arms down. Great. Okay, perfect. And we're just going to go into a founder between this side and the next one. So you just want to take a little bit of a wider position now, so a little bit wider than shoulder width. And we're going to do the same kind of set with it. So just come back straight into it. Drop the hips, pull the knees back a little bit, and raising up through the chest, drawing, lengthening through the spine. Okay, good. And then again, scooping up through the shoulders, raising right up to the top. As if you're kind of reaching something a little bit too far away. Hinging the hip back. Just holding at the top here. Take one more breath out, and then pointing the hands down, coming all the way down. Bringing the palms flat into the ground. And just draw back a little bit onto the legs, so you're in a little bit deeper now. Good. Great, just walk the hands forward just until you're in the fingertips. And then think about really pressing the fingertips into the ground. So you've really got a nice solid anchor in the fingers. But don't shift weight into the hands. You just want to shift a sense of pressure into it. So the hips, the ankles, everything stays back of the knees. And then nice and slow, you're just going to raise one hand, one arm, reach up to the ceiling, just hold it at the top. About 10 seconds or so. Keep the anchor in the feet. You've got 3 points with the feet and the hand. More of the weight towards the feet. Great, releasing it nice and slow. Dropping back, just pull the hips back again a little bit, settle into it. Get the pressure in the hands. And then again, raising up through, windmilling the opposite arm, right up to the ceiling. Good. And about 10 seconds at the top. Great, releasing it, coming all the way back down. Great. Drawing the hands back so that the palms are down. And then again, bending from the knees, drawing up to the shins, straightening the spine, drawing up through the hips, coming back, and then standing up tall. You just shake it out a little bit. Okay, good. Great. And we'll just do the other side. So if you did the left side, you do it now with the right foot forward. So just a light lunge to one side. Get the hips nice and square on. And then first just stretching the arms back a little bit, opening the chest. Again, pulling the chest up, pulling the skull away from the spine. So it's floating up to the top. And then start to hinge the body forwards into it. Shifting the weight into the front hip. Pull the arms as wide as you can. Nice deep breath in. Great, drawing back to the center. And then again, just a gentle bend, side bend. Anchoring the body in the feet. Back to the top. Okay, raising the arms up, right to the top. And then just think a little bit, pulling the body back. And once you've got that nice and comfortable, just start to, again, side bend away from the back leg. Sit nice deep breaths as you do it. Good. If you want to increase a little bit, just think about pushing through the back heel. Again, shifting the weight a little bit more onto the front leg. Mobilizing from the ankle through the hip. Just a few more seconds. Release it. Come back into the center. Get the arms out. Great. Okie dokie.
Great, we're just going to do one more final. So this one, you want the legs as wide as possible. So as wide as you can get them. Well, not actually, don't go stupid with it. Really about double hip width, something like that. So yeah. I think in this case, you can, if you feel more comfortable with it, slightly externally rotate the feet, so kind of pointing away from you if that's kind of where the hip feels a bit more comfortable. If not, just think about the cross connection with the feet as you do this, because you're a little bit wider. Can be a little bit more comfortable. Think about the back heel to the toes at the front of the opposite leg, and the same on the other side, the back heel to the toes here. And what you want to think about is a little bit like scissoring the legs in towards each other across the body. So that means you're kind of activating the back, activating the back of the legs. But at the same time, you don't want the knees to do this kind of thing. So you want to have the sense that you're kind of pressing in with the back of the legs here. So just settle into that first. And get the spine nice and long. And then again, just going to hinge the hips back a little bit. Draw the arms back and keep the chest nice and tall. Nice deep breath in through the body. Lengthening through the spine. Again, really anchoring the body and the feet. And in this case, you're not going to reach up, you're going to reach out. So you're going to reach out as far as you can. Hinge the hips right back. Reach them right out. Great. Just going to come down again, just into the palms. And stretch back a little bit through the legs. And again, you're just going to work with the toes or work with the ankles. You're going to go inside onto the inside of the foot and then rotating the ankle a little bit towards the outside. And again, just feel how that changes the structure in the legs. Just gently shifts the load. Great. Again, drawing back into the shins, straightening through the spine. Reaching up, coming back into the arm position here. And we'll just do one more exercise to finish. So you're going to close out the shoulders in front, close out the forearms in front of you. And you can do this in sets, raising up, nice and slow, coming back down. Or if that's a bit uncomfortable, just reach to the top, just hold the position. Activate the whole of the shoulders back. Again, anchoring all the movement in the feet. Raise the hands up as high as you can. There, just holding it or pulsing it for about 5. Okay, release that. And just coming up, standing tall. Great. Okay, perfect. That's the end. You just shake everything out. A little bit. Loosen the spine out. Great. Perfect. Good. Okay, we'll do a little bit of Joe work. So just take the Joe, please. Great. We'll just do some exercises just for the shoulders specific. So to kind of anchor the shoulders down. So first one, you want the hands about wide, just a little bit wider than shoulder width. You're going to come up with them here and just press them right up. Again, keeping the shoulders low, don't go into a kind of pull up, or you want to have the sense that you're hanging off the bar, hanging off the jump. So if you have a hanging bar, this is the kind of thing you want to do. Think about this spine as much as the arms, so the back of the head, the back of the upper spine, the thoracic spine, and the tailbone. Think about it sinking down. The feeling of sinking all the way through it. Sinking it back down. And just one more, raising up through it. Keeping that pressure all the time. Good, good. You're just going to change the grip now. So you just want the Joe in the thumbs, in this kind of position. Yeah. This one you're going to go up to the top. Yeah, and then you're going to go down the back this way. You're going to let the Joe pass down towards the shoulders. Back. Raise it up. Back to the front. Here. So you're just going to raise it up just over the head. Here, and then just let it drop down. Again, just really explore mobility in the shoulder. Nice balanced movement. Coming up, keeping the spine long and drawing it down. Just go as far as you can back with that position. Good. Raising it up. Over. Great. One more. Up. Great. Okay, perfect. Now you're going to take the end of the Joe. You should do one side at a time in this one. So sometimes we do this kind of exercise all the way around, just to take it a little bit slower and really focus on each shoulder at one time. You're going to arc the arm over here, all the way around the back. Stop at this point at the back, and then use the same arm, rotate it back over. So change sides each time. You're going to do one to the back, to the back position, and then arc it back over. And over. And back over. As much as you can, try and isolate the shoulder movement, so you don't want too much, the kind of spine to be kind of flexing too much. Just try and feel the shoulder really mobilize through it. Yeah, good. Good. Just take it as far as comfortable. That's it. Good. Nice, nice, nice. That's it. Perfect. Great. Good. Very good. Okay, perfect. So just going to take the Joe right in the center, just focusing now on the forearm. So keeping the elbow nice and heavy. If you need to, if you feel that the Joe's kind of a little bit too heavy or the wrist is under pressure, just slightly brace the wrist here so you've got a little bit of a support with the wrist. Or if you've got a little bit of a weaker grip that I've got at the moment, slightly brace it. Key things getting the rotation through. And just focusing on the back side of the grip, so the little finger, the ring finger, really coming into contact with the Joe. Yeah, good. Good. Just a few, and then changing the side. And just brace it if you need to. Or if you feel like here the elbow is starting to kind of kick out a little bit too much, just slightly brace it. You don't want to pin the elbow to the body. Give it some freedom. Mostly focusing here on the forearm and the wrist. Sit. Good. Good, 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 good. Great. Then the same kind of rotation, but now involving the shoulder. So the key thing with this one is not letting the shoulder kind of raise up into this kind of position. Let the shoulder stay low. And draw it back. Keeping the elbow tight to the body as it's pulled back. Imagine the whole arm kind of spiraling through, out, through, out. Good. Nice. Great. And changing the side. Very good. Great. And then just taking one side, taking it into a figure of 8. Again, try and avoid now the shoulder taking these kind of positions. Keep the shoulders as low as possible. You want it to stay in the structure, and you want to let the wrist, the forearm, really perform that kind of spiraling movement. Sit. That's it. That's it. Good. Okay, great. Yeah, the key thing with this exercise, although it's kind of a base, although it's like a spinning exercise, it doesn't really have any martial kind of qualities to it. It does teach some qualities which we use as well. So the same in the kind of foundation work. Focus on the hips really grounding it. So the big issue we've got is with this is like the hips start to do this kind of thing. So the hips start to kind of, if you exaggerate this, it means that the body's basically doing this, it's being pulled out. Now, if you think about the hips, the center of the body really anchoring you down, imagine you've got a weight tied to the body and it's really pinning the body down to the ground. And it's not that you want to just isolate the arm, you want to involve the hips, but you don't want to let them ride out of the ground. So you want to let them anchor you down. You know? Imagine like kayaking, all these kind of activities where you've got the lower bodies, you don't move the lower body, but you anchor down with it. But you don't just, again, do it with the arms. That's really going to tie you out super quick. So drive with the center, but don't let it kind of ride up and out of the ground. That's it. Just play with both sides. Yeah. That's it. So you want something really heavy in the lower body, but nice and light. So the upper body should be kind of free to really express that power of the ground. Yes, there we go. Nice. Okay, just taking it one step further now, involve the feet with it. So just keep the feet keep the body on the spot, don't move with it, but you're going to switch the hips. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The main thing now is to get the timing with the feet and the arms so that you're anchoring that movement again in the feet. There. There. That's it. So you just play with switching every so often in the hands. Good. Good. Nice. Good. Okay, good. So we'll just work on some really simple exercises, but just again to work on this connection with the hips to the arms and out to the jaw. So I want you to just take the jaw around this position. We're just going to do one-sided. So you're just going to have it up at the shoulder in this kind of position. A little bit like an extreme position of where you have the bottom, but it's off at the side, so it's at the shoulder. So just first play with, just getting the idea of the shoulder, engaging the shoulders, the shoulder in this case, and the hip. And don't move the feet, just think about dropping into it, coming back up. You want to have a grip. If you get too long at the back end is going to hit you as it comes down. So, but you don't want the whole weight of the jaw in it. So because you're going to kind of go, you can do, but you don't want to damage the wrist too much. So give yourself a bit of space at the top, take it to the shoulder, and then close the movement down. Close the movement down. At the same time, casting the tip out. So you close it, cast the tip out. And don't worry about power yet. It's just about getting the feeling of the hip dropping down into the body, or the weight of the body dropping down through the hip, finding the ground, finding the tip. So that's it. Okay. Yes, that's it. Yes, there we go. Yes. Okay, and just think for a moment about the wrist as well. So we're kind of guilty a lot of the time to kind of making blocks of the wrist and kind of just arcing through this way. You end up with this kind of movement. So a lot of the movement just comes from the shoulder. But if you think about all the kind of bokken work that we're doing and the Jo work too, to a lesser extent, it's a bit more obvious with the bokken work. But you want to give the wrist that freedom of motion so that it can really express this movement. So if you think just from this position, if I'm trying to reach the Jo, this tip to the shoulder, you can do it a really long way by doing something like that, raising the shoulder all the way up. Or you can do it a really simple way just by doing that, right? So you've got a lot of range of motion just in the wrist. A little bit the elbows coming into it, the bicep. But a lot of range of motion just in that part. That. Or I go the long way around, it takes a long time, go, big motion. So you want to kind of use the wrist to its advantage. You don't want, in this case also, the feeling as you go out that you're flicking out the wrist. So you want to use the mobility in it, but you want it to be behind a solid structure into the shoulder. So you don't want the wrist at this point to be kind of kicking out, where you hit something and then the wrist is in a really weak position. So you want to use that motion, you want to use the mobility in the wrist, but attach it to something that's kind of solid so the wrist mobilizes and then comes down for it. Don't increase the speed, don't increase the power on it, but just have the feeling you're slightly arcing it down a little bit more. Arcing it down a little bit more. Arcing it down a little bit more. And you can also play with both sides with this as well. It's the same exercise. That's it, nice. Perfect, good. Great. So just one small adjustment now. You're just going to bring the leg into it. So if the Jo's on the right, in the right hand, you're going to have the left leg forward, and you're going to now, as you draw into it, step into it, and through. And don't hit this. So you're going to be back. Let the hip drop in. Again, ground yourself now really into the left leg, and find that strike, or find the kind of swing through. So it's the shoulder. Yeah, activate the shoulder, drop in, send it down. Activate the shoulder, drop in, find it. Give it a try. That's it. Yes. That's it. Good. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, so the kind of problem for us with the handming in terms of the position of the hips is the tendency here is as you go into it, this hip swings out to the back and then this movement happens. Again, the spine goes into a kind of distortion because the hips, there's no foundation here in the hip. The spine will just kind of swing out, which is usually happens to a greater or lesser extent. So think about as you do this one, this hip, as you go through with it, although you adjust the position of it, you let it find the ground. So really let that hip too. Think this hip's spreading this way, not spreading out the back this way. This is the same problem like you've got with the we've got with the bokken work as well. The sense of the hip's going to kind of pull out to the back, and then actually the hip's pulling out the wrong way. I want it to kind of ground down here into the ground this way. So just think about it as you go in. You've got the wrong one, that. And then it's the hips going out. So the hips actually controlling the position of the Jo at the end of it. Yes. That's it. Boom. Good.
So when I do that,
Sure.
when I do what you just described, then in the end of the movement, my shoulder goes like that.
Yeah, right.
So what to do about that?
What do you do?
Maybe more muscles here needed.
More muscle. Yeah, build this out. Yeah, the main thing you want to feel, if this usually happens because the shoulders come into this position to kind of to find a strong position. It's a strong position for the shoulder, but in terms of it's a strong position, but it's a very rigid position for the shoulder to be in this way, and it's going to kind of it's going to reach a block, and then again it's going to kind of twist the spine out. So just as you do it, think about the last range of it. Just play in this kind of area. So you want to feel this part, especially the shoulder blades. They need to be in like a really specific position. You want them to roll back into the body. They need mobility, but stability, especially for this when you're doing jagged work. So, but if I've got kind of stability without the mobility, or I've got mobility without stability, they need to go together, right? So it's just work with that last part, so that you can feel it. Also, play with the two hands on it, as if you're doing like a wide yokomen, but just what. There's that kind of thing happening, being pulled out. So again, it's more about kind of reaching the ground as well. So the more the hips stabilize the movement, the more the shoulders can start to find the kind of correct position. But just play with it slow and break the movement down.
Thank you.
What you do. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Good. Nice. Yeah, and the other thing obviously you can do is use a lighter stick or use a shorter stick. That's obviously that's another, like use a broom. I use a lot like a broom handle or something like that. Or really short. I've got short sticks like this kind of thing. So you've really got something short, but you're just practice the same thing, and then if I can start to pick up the back to the jaw, right? But again, it's about the position of the shoulder. Yeah, that's now. Great. So we'll take it to, this is really movements from the 𝒊𝒏𝒈, number 12, karate tomauchi. So we'll go from that in that position. So you're working from, in this case, the left side. And sometimes the 𝒊𝒏𝒈 is done from this position, sometimes it's done from here. We'll do it from this position as well, so you've got a nice wide shoulder through it. You want to, just as you go back, just slightly adjust the hand forward, so you're not taking, again, the whole jab. Adjust it, and as you go back, just take it into this position. Now you're in a slightly different position, but you want to find that same activation in the shoulder. As you go through, activate the shoulder, and then drop into it. And just control the end of the jab, don't hit anything. But you want to start in the 𝒊𝒂𝒏, roll back, just slightly give yourself a bit of space at the back, the jab, and then again, anchor in the hip, wing it through. And again, just focusing on structure, not power, yeah? Especially when you've got lots of objects around you. Hold in. You want to kind of bite into the ground with the movement. That's it. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, the main thing here, just watch this. Okay, it goes back to this arcing movement. The tendency for some of you is to do this, is to push out the shoulder. And then all the motion you've got is coming from the shoulder this way. And it will put a lot of because a lot of the momentum's coming into the wrist, it will put a lot of strain on the wrist. So again, think about here, mobilizing the wrist in this movement. So the wrist is going to kind of mobilize that movement, whilst you keep the shoulder low. So don't think in this case about kind of casting out the shoulder. Put the shoulder in a really, really strained position as well. But you do want, you're correct in going there because you want to activate the shoulder, especially this far shoulder. So this needs to be heavy and then drop down into it. Just take it a bit slow. A little bit slower. Yes. And you can do this on both sides. You might find it a little bit awkward to do it the other side, but possible. Oh. Yes. Good. Good. Oh. Nice, Bob. Good. Oh, great. Great, good, good. Perfect. Great, we'll take it into number 13. So this time you're going to start with the jaw at the back end. Again, give yourself a little bit of space, about 2 fists width, down, just a little bit higher, a little bit, about that. And you're going to work with the, in this case, just work with the feet like this. You step in, draw the jaw over, yeah, and then you draw it over, rotate it, step the other foot in, and then you draw the other foot back. So again, just think first about anchoring the jaw in the hip work. So it stops here with the hip, it stops here with the hip, and then it stops here with the back hip. Just about creating those connections again with the hands, hip, hands, hip, hands, hip. That's it. Yeah, again, think of the connection with the hip and the hand. Think about stabilizing with the hip to the hand, and think about mobilizing from the hip to the hand as well. So that very first motion, think that it's not the hand that's going to do it. It's just going to pull you out of the structure. Think it's the hip that's going to release it. So just play with those 3 points. You've got the 3 pauses in the movement. Here at the beginning, hip, here. Now from this position, get the hip, hip, hip. Releases it. Here's the same. The hip releases the movement. So really get this. It's the same. This kind of motion rather than the hip pulling the hand pulling the hip out. The hip grounds and the hand follows. Hip grounds, hand follows. So you want the feeling like the hips drag the jaw through the movement. But the best way to do this is actually from that static position. So you can really get a feel for where you're initiating it from. Dum. Yeah, nice. Good, right. Nice. Good. Wow. Great. Okay. The main problem with the hips, in a sense, for us, is we tend to either go around them, like this way, the extreme, around them, or we go over the top of them. over the top of them. Think about the hips really like a gate. You're just going to go straight through them. So you want the ability in the hips to be able to go inside the hip joint itself. So really think about you want to go really internally into the hip, into the movement, and kind of force it to open, rather than I go around the problem. The hip's stiff, so I go around it, or I go around it. All of this is avoiding the actual problem, which is the hip. So try and just get a feel for this sense that you can open and close the hips, open and close the hips. So you're really working in that space. This Seikai exercise we do, this is also following this kind of this, or is exploring this problem just in a slightly different way. That sense of being able to open and close the hips, fold them, and also the foundation work. All of this involves the hip being able to flex, hip being able to flex. So just play with that movement. That's it. Oh, good. Yes. Very nice. Oh, yeah. So that's good. Great. So we'll just finish with this movement. Comes from the kind of Kentai-Jo series. Some of the Kumijo find this movement, but I just want to start in this case with actually we'll start with the left side. So you've got a little bit of a wider kind of shoulder, a little bit of a wider base. You're going to come in, shift down the jaw here, come into a block position here, and then you're going to shift back into a hasso, into this position. Just the kind of 45-degree angle one, so you're not coming up to the top in either of these movements. And then from here, you're going to sink down. Again, draw the hips into it, press down. You think of this as a block, so you're kind of pressing down through it, and then release it to the back, to the top, this way. Just do this with two. You can repeat this over and over, but just start again. Each time, left side, sink in, drop the hips in, roll up into the hasso, drop the hips in, anchoring the movement down, dropping back into the hasso, and then break it back into the kamae. So again, all those same issues, just from a little bit of a different position. Good. Good. That's good. Good. Yeah, and with this one, really use that hasso position. It's a nice position to really work from the structure. So you find this position and then really allow yourself here to roll up to the top. So the kamae in this case is a little bit shorter, a bit of an arrow, and you're right at the top. And if you think about this, it's nice and easy. You just drop everything down. So you drop into it, really give yourself this chance, the chance with this position. Drop in, find the top of the movement. Drop in with the hip, find the top of the movement. Yes, good. Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, and most of you are going into this anyway. So just play now with the block flowing into the hassa, finding the top. Again, really allow yourself to kind of reset in this position. And then you drop into it, find the hassa at the top. Again, really focus on stabilizing the hips through the movement. So stabilizing the hips, stabilizing the hips. And then everything, well, the flowing form is going to flow, going to come out of that stability. First thinking about stability. Stability. Yeah. Great. Okay, and then last minute, you can either stick at this level, kind of flowing the block into the hassa, or you can go to this level now, so you can take the whole movement into one. So it becomes this flows into it. So now it becomes one motion. One.
Fuck. Oh.
So it goes one, two. Wait. That's it. There we go. Yeah, good. Last few. Nice. Again, now as you go faster or you go more mobile, the problems become much more exaggerated. So again, stabilizing the hips, controlling the shoulders. Yes, all these issues really start to become really exaggerated. Three. Perfect. Great. We will. So this is why I like those rotation movements, or these very simple exercises like this and these kind of exercises. Although they're very simple and no real martial application, they teach good mechanics in terms of how to structure the body, and they do it in a very simple way with not so much stress on the body. if you think compared to kind of striking movements and these kind of one-handed strikes, which are very kind of tough on the structure, then these are nice movements kind of just get into those kind of patterns and then keep them in mind as you go into them, rather than going straight into them and breaking the structure out as you go into it. Okay, we will stop there. About great. Okay. Hey, どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you.